Ambassador, welcome. Need to ask you, the US as the only superpower remaining in the world, we come to a lot of countries' aids in terms of promoting aid, giving loans, but entrepreneurship is a very different take. It's a different ball game. And we are trying to see how entrepreneurship could be fostered in emerging economies especially. What is your take on it?
Well, entrepreneurship is exciting for the people who are doing it. And it tends to have an effect on everybody around. They see something interesting happening. They see people who are engaged in what they're doing, and it's infectious. And we see it, of course, here in the Silicon Valley area, and the relationship between Stanford and what goes on around and all the excitement, and we see all the young people. And actually, if you look around in Silicon Valley, the world is here. There are people from all over who are interested and involved. So it seems to me a kind of natural thing to try to help introduce this idea to other people. It works well here, it can work well elsewhere, and we see that it does work well elsewhere when it's given a chance. So it's a good way of helping other economies get going and get flourishing. And one of the things we've all learned is that the better everybody else does, the better we do. It's not you gain, I lose. It's quite to the contrary.
I was just speaking to another entrepreneur from Italy, and the current conference was a case study which was very successfully implemented by Ambassador Spogli and Richard Bolli in Italy. There is a certain amount of stigma that once you fail as an entrepreneur, it's difficult for you to succeed the next time. And this gentleman I spoke to actually did succeed the second time. He sold his company very successfully to a big corporation. We have adopted that culture that for us, failure is the next stepping stone for the other venture. But it's not so throughout the world. So there are some challenges. How do you think, this culture could be implemented in cultures which is resistance to this change?
Yeah, well, I think it's a question of what you learn from what happens to you. And some people fail, and you can see they deserve to, and they didn't learn anything. So probably they're not going to make it the next time either. But other people reflect a little bit on what happened, and they learn something, and they benefit from it. And so they're going to go on, and they're going to be successful. And there are lots and lots of examples of that. We all know in our own experiences we've done some things that didn't work out so well. And so you learn something from that and try not to do it again. Try to do something that does work.
From a foreign policy perspective, or should I say the economic foreign policy, if there is such a thing, is that a lot of the problems in most corners of the world is because of the economic conditions of the larger population. So you have infighting amongst groups within one country or between two countries or between various factions. This would be, because we tried, as I said in our first question, is through aid, we tried through loans. They have been successful at very minimal level, and we feel that this is a good initiative to take forward. How do you think State Department could help in leveraging this opportunity?
Well, Richard Bolli, who got this thing going and who worked with Ambassador Spogli in Italy to produce something that really worked and which now has taken root in Italy. It's no longer something that they promoted. It's something that Italy has a hold of and is doing. And they have invented a little program at the State Department that sounds pretty good to me, in which you try to introduce this idea to people, new ambassadors who are going to their post, and you try to find people in the Foreign Service who are interested in it, and that can help get it going. But success gets imitated, and people see something that worked over here and they say, well, why not me? What's the matter? And I think it can catch on that way, and it may be the State Department can play a good role in facilitating that process. And they seem to be setting up, and there's a man who was on a panel there just now who is in charge of it in the State Department. That's something new. That wasn't there when I was secretary.
Mr. Shultz, thank you so much for the opportunity and the advice. I appreciate your time.